Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Pace Pals. We are nearing the end of Season 2. We are 4 days away. It is November 2nd at the time of recording. We're just a few days away from the 120-star LTA. We're here to catch you up on everything that's happened since the last qualifier. We know our field of 7 finalists. What have they been up to? And then we're going to get into it. We're going to have some debate coming up later on some of the hottest topics in the Mario community right now. All that coming to you. First, Wes Zeus, welcome on. How are you doing?
Great. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be back. We're so back, Gio and Wes. We are so back. It's been a little bit since we've had a longer form episode. We have been dropping the History Awaits short videos ever since our posts qualifiers round 3 episode, which have been phenomenal. Support for those has been phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for watching those.
Go check them out if you haven't seen them.
Exactly.
There's one for every participant except for Suigi. I got too busy. Here's what happened.
But trust us, the heart and soul of Suigi will maybe eventually get its own video. Maybe. We'll have to see what happens.
You know, it wasn't necessary to make his own video because he made the own video by world recording.
Yeah.
So that's what the video would have been, you know?
Exactly. But yeah, it's great to be back. It's great to be back with a long form episode, man.
I'm trying to make a joke right now, but I need to quickly open up OBS here. I'd like to think we're all back here. Gio has been getting IRL stuff going on and going down. I've been bouncing around with new obligations in life, but meanwhile, Zeus over there has been doing something completely different. He's been nonstop live with the Invert-a-thon for the last little bit.
Wait, I have to hit watch stream for that to happen. Wait, this is messing up the format entirely.
Oh, God.
No.
Yeah, the format's absolutely fucked.
No. I was hoping there'd be no show for the non-camera participants, but I wanted to just be inverted for the joke.
Wes is hanging out upside down. We can see you. You're there. It's so good.
I just wanted to say inverted or Invert-a-thon. Oh, dang it. I made too many edits.
Look, this is the advertising I need.
Should we jump into content? The first part of the show, reviewing what everyone has been up to, all of our finalists since the last qualifiers. Obviously, the biggest news we should start with first. Simply PB. Let's go Simply. It's exactly what everyone was expecting. Our boy. Is he back? I don't know. You know, he goes from a 137.12 to a 137.06. The biggest 6 seconds in speedrunning history, people are saying. People are talking about it in this way. Electric, he did have 136.22 best possible time in bits. It would have been second place at the time. Obviously, Luigi had the world record because the real biggest event that has occurred since qualifiers, Suigi has turned the 120 world upside down. Not only has he claimed his first sub 137, not only has he claimed his first sub 136, securing the 136 skip, but he's claimed his first ever 120-star world record, a 135.33, all the way down from a 137 flat.
1 day later.
Insane. I mean, what is right?
Exactly.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself. Does anyone have any thoughts?
It's just mind-blowing, honestly.
It's mind-blowing.
I mean, you wouldn't have expected it just because of the kind of relationship that Suigi seemed to have with SM64 for the past 2 months.
Yeah.
I feel like until very recently, it wasn't even confirmed whether he was going to take that 7th spot in the finals. And to just turn around all of that, like, uncertainty and then to just turn around and turn it into this is unheard of. Like,
unheard of. So it's like it's unexpected and never been done before.
No. And to do it at this caliber, to skip a 136, which is a time that so many people put their all into getting, to just treat it like another minute barrier and get a 135 with a missed throw and some other mistakes as well. Like, It's absurd. It's insane, man. It's crazy. I don't know how Suigi does it, but somehow, some way, he just keeps topping himself.
Oh, we're sure we worried about that phrasing at all?
Somehow he keeps managing to exceed expectations, Gio.
Yikes. Yikes. Wes, any thoughts on Suigi? And we'll dive into this later, I assume, with our first topic, but...
I genuinely thought he was going to treat this upcoming LTA like he did towards the very end, just kind of roll in and just say whatever with no real practice. But I guess once he attended the Speedrun Summit that GSA just hosted back in September, and being around Luigi and many of the other top-level speedrunners, he found that new motivation to go back and really focus in on 120 star. And what do you know, all it took is just a month of hardcore Suigi training to make us now out of the phrase I never thought would genuinely be possible in the history of this game, 136 skip. I mean, goodness gracious.
It's outrageous. I mean, you know, it really makes you wonder, is he the GOAT of Mario 64? Stay tuned.
We might have to talk about that.
As far as other updates, Smau dropped another PB early on, just a couple weeks after the qualifiers ended, I believe. 137.48 down to a 137.38, so a 10-second save there on top of his PB in the second qualifiers. Puncay also PB'd a 137.34 down to a 137.26. Oh, sorry, it was a 137.31. It was a 5-second PB. He had a 3-second PB previously from his world record. So he's still alive, he's still around, and we know he shows up for these competitions, so it's going to be interesting to see what this means for the LTA. Beast has been grinding. He's on day 130 something, 136, 137, I don't know, straight of trying to get a 136. He did have a stretch in there where he was kind of knocking out one run and then focusing on Luigi's Mansion. It'll be interesting to see how that break from the really heavy, intense grind will pay off for him. We will see in just a few days. Cheese, continuing his Cheese-a-thon. He's doing Damageless. He's doing Mario. He's doing Variety. He will be taking a break from his Cheese-a-thon in just a few days, obviously, to travel west out to the U.S. to compete. And then finally, Kally. Kally took a 2-week break early. He's had at least one 137 finished run, no PBs, but it seemed like after 2 weeks off, he was really ready to get back at it. So we're going to see what happens. I mean, Kally obviously finally secured the podium last time. The only improvement he can make at this point is winning. So we'll see what he does. Anything else I might have forgotten there, boys?
One thing I will say about Cheese, you know, he has been doing the Cheese-a-thon. Insane results from the Cheese-a-thon. I think we're on we're almost approaching day 100 at this point. Like, I think he's in the 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think he tweeted pretty recently that, yeah, he is taking a break for pace. But he's kind of hoping that this will reignite some motivation for 120 star, just like regular 120 star attempts for him. You know, understandably, it could be kind of hard to maintain that level of motivation doing so many other things related to your subathon. So maybe we'll see Cheese back on a pretty hardcore grind for some better times than 120 star. But kind of have to wonder, as the top level player, now that Suigi has kind of just dropped the atom bomb of PBs, what does that do for everybody else? I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like if anything, it motivates people to try to do better and to try to time step. Now that they know it's possible and they see how it's possible.
I think you typically see that with world records, that they do motivate. I guess the one variable here is this is such a massive PB and it's so far ahead of everyone else. You know, it's not what we saw in 16 star when he dropped the 1435. There's really one active runner still pursuing that record, and it's Slippery Nip. The category has been shockingly quiet since that PB. So it's curious. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think that'll happen to 120 just because there are so many people grinding already and just working for PBs. But with nobody actively running who's kind of at the point where they can take it, maybe Corey, but even now he's got what, a 50-second lead high 40-second lead. It's going to be interesting to see what that does because it is such a massive delta between him and the rest of the field at this point.
What if Luigi comes back though?
I will say, Cheese did conclude on day 85 of the subathon. He's still got 109 hours left to go in that timer when he does come back.
It's crazy.
And I guess, so even though we didn't talk about him because he's not a finalist, I guess just Luigi in the meantime played a little bit of Mario, but then he really switched his focus to Sunshine once they dropped arbitrary code execution. And to my knowledge, got the world record with a 23-minute time, but I don't know how that's developed since.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a week or a few days of like a lot of Mario SMS content, and then it kind of fell off. But I'm not super in that scene, so.
Yeah, it was mostly just like it got discovered. Luigi like did a run, like he got record with like the old routing, but then I think he spent like 2 days learning like a whole programming language, and then
goddamn
invented his own routing for Ace.
You're right. And they've got another record. What, 17 minutes or even faster than that?
I think it was a sub 20. I could be wrong though,
insane.
But yeah, it was insane. But yeah, after that, he's been like streaming COD every now and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, he hasn't really been on Mario. I think he said he just doesn't really have a desire to play it right now. Like he's just kind of like whatever.
And I think Luigi's the guy too. He like needs his motivation is entirely intrinsic. Like something like this, I don't know is what kind of ignites his fire and his passion. He just kind of has to find it within himself to be like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want to go for. So I don't know that it's going to have an effect on him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Luigi just kind of always does his own thing. It seems like you said, he'll just wake up one day and decide, hey, I want to get a 135.32. And then within like a month, he'll have it like miraculously. It's like magic. But
I think over the last few nights, yeah, I've seen him playing COD with Triforce, and I also did Sims with Plums and Peaches for her birthday. So he's just kind of enjoying gaming all over the place.
Yeah.
No. It's a good mental break,
for sure. Hey, it's a
definitely
break.
Need it.
Yeah. I mean, he's left his mark on the game.
Absolutely. I think, this is a completely different discussion. I feel like because Suigi was there on the 135, he just missed the star, right? Was that what happened?
No, it was a missed regrab. Ouija.
Oh,
yeah,
it was a front flip.
It was a front flip.
Yeah.
So he was he
was at
135.59
most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even that, it wasn't the same.
That's true.
Because the thing about Suigi is the 136 skip is outrageous, and then I guess goes hand in hand with that. But the fact that it was a minute and 27 second PB, I guess it was 26 and change. But yeah, I mean, it's insane what Suigi did. That kind of segues into our first debate topic. Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Should try, yeah.
Let's do it. We are going to be, me and Wes are going to be going back and forth on some very important topics here. And Gio Gringo, resident lawyer, is going to to be our moderator for these debates.
Oh, I'm taking a step farther. I'm
lawyer.
the
Does that mean
damn
he's a resident
judge.
Evil?
Resident Evil.
Judge Gio.
No, judges aren't evil. Sometimes. Sometimes they are. Don't look at the U.S.
More
system.
on that later.
Oh. More on that later. Yeah, our final topic. Which Supreme Court justices do we like?
Oh, God.
Wait, just because I have this sound effect, I'll throw in one more thing. It was posted on social media publicly, so I can say this. Kally apparently took an edible on his way to Pace, so I think he can proudly say,
I love getting high. Let's go. Let's go, Kally.
Let's go. I mean, look, sometimes you just gotta fly high,
Exactly.
I assume he's flying, right?
Yeah, he did fly.
It's way too far to drive.
Yeah, Colorado was a 24-hour drive to get to Laurel, Maryland. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not it. That's not the play. Boys, we have two of the greatest players in Mario history attending this competition. We have Cheese, holder of numerous, just countless 120 world records, breaker of minute barriers, clutch performer in live events, and of course, arguably the other greatest. Simply, just kidding, simply come on the fucking pod. Suigi. Who's the GOAT? This is our LeBron versus Jordan, our LeBron and MJ. Zeus, who do you have? You have Cheese or Suigi?
In the GOAT debates, is this 120 star or is this all of Mario?
It's a great question. I think it's Mario GOAT.
I'm gonna take Cheese. I'm gonna take Cheese as the GOAT for me.
What's your case,
personally,
counselor?
Because I think Suigi has been in the scene for about 4 years. Cheese has been in the scene since Suigi was probably in elementary school, grade school, doing times tables in the classroom. Cheese was out here breaking records, pushing boundaries in the game. And I think in this debate, the GOAT debate, it's all about how long you've been able to maintain your presence at the top. And there's nobody who has consistently been at the top, I feel like, longer than Cheese-a-thon. He's been able to maintain that level of greatness for this long, and I think he's going to just continue to go up as well. I think he's only going to continue to improve. So that's why Cheese is my GOAT. It's the duration of how long he's been doing everything.
Wes?
I naturally have to go with Green Suigi. And frankly, I think the LeBron-Jordan debate topic has been a little too overused, maybe even oversaturated. So I'd like to take this to another sports comparison here. Jack Nicklaus versus Tiger Woods in the world of golf. Cheese be like Jack Nicklaus. He's got the longevity. He's got the career success. Jack Nicklaus played professional golf for what seemed to be 25, maybe 30 years and secured 18 master championships and well over 70 real wins, which secured his place for one of, if not the greatest golfer. But then you got Tiger Woods, the young hotshot who came in and completely revolutionized the game, blew it wide open, and had a peak no one has ever touched, not even the great Nicklaus himself. That's what Suigi is here. He is the Tiger Woods on peak right now. He's got 4 out of the 5 world records. He's got a peak no one has ever seen. He's completely revolutionized the game. And the one reason why I think Suigi will be the GOAT and not fall short of being the GOAT is that, unlike Tiger Woods, this kid is still 18 years old. He does not have drugs or sex corrupting his young mind. This man is solely focused on 2 things. That is waking up, going to school, and playing Mario 64. Nothing is going to stop him on the pathway to immortality.
So he's not Tiger Woods, then?
He's even better than Tiger Woods.
Yeah, Suigi confirmed has not cheated on his wife.
Has his wife hit him with a golf club? How many car accidents he's gotten into because of drugs? I'm just trying to understand the analogy.
He's still on his astronomical peak. He hasn't gotten there yet, and we got to protect him at all costs to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Zeus, I got a follow up for you. Earlier, we were talking about Suigi and his incredible 120 world record, and you talked about the 136 skip, and you described it as unheard of, unexpected, never been done before. That sounds like GOAT talk. That sounds like Suigi's the GOAT. You've described the GOAT in Suigi.
I don't think it's necessarily doing things that haven't been heard of. Like, I feel like you can come in and do a really good number to the scene that you're getting involved in. Like, I think you can do something explosive, but does that necessarily make you the GOAT? I don't know, because it's like Cheese is like the foundation. Cheese has kind of defined the game over so many years. I think Suigi has kind of just perfected the groundwork that Cheese laid. I think if a person like Cheese had never come onto the scene, I don't think a player like Suigi would have been possible if someone like Cheese had never been on the scene. But we could be having this same discussion about Cheese in a month. We could be having this same discussion in 2 months, because there was a very large stretch where every PB that Cheese got in 120 star was a world record. He did not fail to get a world record for so long. And he's had like probably close to what, 12? Was it 12 world records in 120 stars?
He's had more than that, I think.
So we gotta be talking about rings here, right? World records are like rings. Cheese is like the Celtics, right? Shout out to the Celtics, best team in the NBA. And Suigi is kind of like maybe, I don't know, maybe like a Dallas Mavericks or something.
A Dallas Mavericks? That's insane. That's an outrageous comparison.
You know, Cheese is like the Celtics, you know. The Celtics did so many things right for so many years, and they're still at the top. They're still at the top.
Cheese had a grand total of 17 world records in 120 star.
And more world records in other categories as well.
Mm-hmm.
70 star.
How many categories has he held the world record in?
I think he's done 120 and 70. I don't know if he ever did 16 star though.
Wes? No, he's never had the 16 star world record. Wes?
I don't believe he's ever held the 16 world record. No,
he definitely hasn't.
No, he never did. He never held the 16 world record. I can actually say that confidently.
Wes, I have a question for you. Are you aware of anyone who's ever held world records in all 5 categories?
No, nobody is.
No one? What do you mean? Your guy is. Suigi. Not at the same time.
I thought you were saying concurrently.
No,
but yeah,
not concurrently.
In all 5
Not
categories at any time. Yeah, that is correct. Green Suigi.
Yeah. I mean, right there, that's a pretty damning piece of evidence.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the reason why I don't think basketball is the best comparison for speedrunning here. You could look at the number of rings, but you also have to take into account then the different eras that were played in. Cheese was dominant for his time, yes, but those rings may not necessarily hold up to what they are now. If we're looking at totals like world record counts, perhaps that would be a better case then, and that'd be a bit more comparable to like a golf record, because people aren't going to take time and difference into account. It's just you go to the game, you play well, and then you win. If we're looking at the world record counts, perhaps. But Suigi is even part of the reason we're having the LeBron versus Jordan debate. Suigi has come in well ahead of prime Cheese, ahead of prime Puncay, and has completely taken this game to whole new levels we never thought possible. Even dethroning the legendary Kano, who we all thought at one point was potential for the GOAT conversation, holding 3 out of the 5 world records, and now he's kind of an unfortunate afterthought.
That's tough.
That's tough.
The fact that Suigi is now 1 world record away from permanent immortality in this game is unheard of. He already is immortal, but I mean, the moment he ever decides to pick up 70 star again, it's all over. He'll get 5 out of 5, and this will no longer be a debate.
I think, in my mind, Suigi, if he can do all of that in the time frame that he's been able to do it in, if he can manage to have that 5 out of 5 like concurrent, like holding all of the records at once, I think that would definitely shift the topic in one direction. But I don't know, man. Cheese, it's just like, Cheese is like my Tom Brady, right? Cheese is like my Tom Brady. Shout out Tom Brady. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. 7 rings. Tom Brady not good. Tom Brady did what he did over the course of 20 years. Cheese is like practically the same way. I mean, he hasn't been playing since 04, but ever since Cheese came onto the scene, he's been at the top, man. He's been at the top.
You're saying it's Brady Mahomes.
Kind of. Suigi is kind of like the Patrick Mahomes to Cheese's Tom Brady in this way.
So he's on the trajectory to surpass Cheese. He's just not there yet.
I would say that's probably my case. Suigi's on the track, but Cheese is still
also much like Tiger Woods. But fortunately, there will not be any sex or drugs that will corrupt this young man. He will surpass him.
That's what Wes just said.
If you've ever been to, I guess, if you've ever hung out with Suigi at pace, the man's willpower is actually ridiculous. He actually knows how to take care of himself.
Yeah, I'm not worried he's gonna take a Tiger turn. I think most people are not facing that risk. Tiger, I think, is unique and stands alone in that category. I do want to point out one other thing, and this, Wes, is a question for you. Suigi hasn't had the live dominance that Cheese has had to his career. Cheese has won LTAs. I guess it wasn't an LTA, but he's won live tournaments in 16-star and more in 120-star, tied with Puncay for pace titles. That's missing. That's a facet of speedrunning. That's an element of speedrunning that's different from world records, different from PBing. It tests your ability to, in a confined period of time, produce the best possible run. Suigi doesn't have that yet.
I would like to know the last time Cheese won a live event for 16-star, because the last 2 or 3 16-star events I can think of hosted by GSA, Suigi absolutely dominated them.
That's
2
correct.
of them I know for sure. The last 2 of them, he was the only runner to get a sub 15, and in some cases was flirting with world record at the time before the 14:35 was even fathomable. So
I don't think we can bring 16-star to the discussion.
If you're talking about multiple world record categories, we're bringing in the multiple live events here. You can't refine that. Debater, moderator, what do you have to say about that?
First of all, it's Your Honor. I'm the judge.
Your Honor,
and absolutely relevant. Your objection is overruled, Tias.
All right,
he's got the live domination in 16-star. I guess this will be his test to further compare if he's the GOAT. He does not have the 120 live test yet, but we shall see how it unfolds this November in Laurel, Maryland.
All right. To resolve the GOAT debate, 3 days, 120-star LTA. Tune in, twitch.tv/speedrun, excuse me. All right, let's move on to the next topic. This is turning into beating a dead horse. We've hit all the points. Should I rule on these or no?
I think the lovely audience should also let us know down below in the comments who they think their GOAT is and their position on all of these topics. But Gio, you can award points.
All right, if I'm just going, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 topics. We could have a tie here, but that's okay. I'll go Suigi. I'll go Wes wins that one.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah. Contempt of court.
All right.
Of court.
We got to move on to the next topic. Speaking of the LTAs, speaking of the live tournaments, the format of the finals is currently a 3-day LTA. There's open qualifiers, 7 qualify, and they compete across those 3 days. The proposition for the debaters, I think this format should be changed. Zeus, you went first last time. I'm going to have you go second this time, actually. Wes, do you agree? Should the format of the finals be changed?
I think the finals... there was a time I used to say that the finals needed to be changed because I've hosted races, never along 120, and I kind of thought that was the way to go. But honestly, I think the live time attack format it's been the format the way it has been the last few years because it's clearly the superior way to go. In races, anything can happen. One mistake can lead to an absolute meltdown, and somebody who's very clearly favored to win can have an off day, and next thing you know, the greatest 120 runner is suddenly upset. In an LTA, you give them time to recenter, refocus, and it truly gives them the ability to showcase their abilities inside of the game, and that's why it has been a format that's been here to stay for so long. I don't think it needs to change as of right now. LTA is the goated format.
All right. Zeus, your opening statement.
You know, I can definitely see also as a tournament organizer myself, you know, LTA definitely has its place, and I think it's an inventive format, and I'll give it credit in that sense that it's kind of like, it's good for the runners mostly because it allows that like flexibility and everything. So that's where like the flexibility on resets and such. And I think that's kind of where it shines. But from a viewer audience perspective, like we're talking about hosting this event and you want to build up a bunch of hype around it and you want people to be really locked in and like have storylines that are developing. Gio, storyline guys. We're storyline guys. We love our storylines. And I think those upsets that Wes is talking about, it fuels those storylines and it fuels that excitement. So I think the format should change. I think the format should change. And the thing I envision is right now, it's a 7-person live time attack event. I propose an 8-person mini tournament of 1v1 races. And if you have the time, maybe make it double elimination. All of your runners are going to be at the venue. They're all going to be available. Scheduling is not going to be a problem. So I think it adds to a lot of hype. And I know that there are 120 runners that do prefer the 1v1 race format. And I know that there might even be a little bit of a desire for a tournament like that. And from a viewer perspective, I think it's a lot more hype. I think it's a lot more hype. The 1v1 race, you can't really beat it. I think that's the way it should be. I think they should at least experiment with it. I think it would be an inventive thing to experiment with because the art of 1v1 races needs to come back, man. It's got to come back. Nothing really quite does it like a 1v1 race.
To counter your point then, from the viewer experience, while a 1v1 race could be fun, the one thing I enjoy the most about the live time attack event is that you could have multiple runs going on at the same time. How many times have we watched a qualifier or an LTA finals and we could focus on not 1, not 2, not 3, maybe sometimes up to 4 runs all going at the same time, very deep into territory, not just because it's a no reset round, but because we got one person on a PB pace, another person on an event PB pace, and 2 other runs going deep in that could go absolutely anywhere. The action is just so overstimulating that for somebody like me with ADHD, I can't take it all in. It's too exciting. There's so much going on, and it makes me want to donate money to the Urban Arts Foundation because it's so awesome.
To your point, Wesley, it is a lot of information to take in. And that's kind of the drawback for me as a viewer from the LTA. It's because as someone who watches speedruns regularly, I'm really locked in on 1 run, maybe 2 runs. If somebody's racing another person, like the tournaments I host, they're pretty much all 1v1s. I think it's pretty easy to kind of go back and forth between 2 runners and to kind of like know what's going on, know what they're going for, whatever. But when it's just too many runs going on at once, I feel like highlights and accomplishments of certain runners can go unnoticed if there are too many runs going on at once all at the same time. And while it's like great, it's like watching, NFL Red Zone on Sunday when there's like 50 games on your screen at once. It's crazy, but for commentators, that can be hard to keep up with. That. It could be hard to keep up with. And I think for viewers, it could be hard to keep up with as well. So I think if we're highlighting 2 runners at a time, they're going head to head, I think it's a lot easier to portray runners' accomplishments to a live audience and to really show what speedrunning is all about in a 1v1 format.
Wes, I got a question for you. I want to follow up something you said. You said LTA is the best way to make sure that the cream of the crop rises and they get to show up in the competition, that we have them featured, because you eliminate the risk of maybe the best runner having a mistake in 1 run and then it's a one and done race, they're out. We've had complaints about the LTAs in the past because runners like Liam and Luigi didn't qualify for the finals after 3 rounds of qualifiers that were all LTA. Is it really the best way to address that problem?
I mean, that also falls on the runner's belief, too. They decided not to qualify for the LTA simply because they didn't want to play the game. And I mean, imagine if that happened in the middle of a 1v1 tournament. If Liam and Luigi didn't want to play, if, like, say they're going into a 3rd round match and they just said, no, I'm burned out, I'm done with SM64, I don't want to play, I'm out, I forfeit. Boom. They're done and it's just gone for. And I feel like that kind of takes away the hype and one person just moves on up in the tournament. And that's one less thing to look forward to. Whereas in an LTA, then somebody can at least come in and assume the spot that's going to be taken instead of having one dropped person from the tournament and having that void fill just completely out there. You have somebody maybe like a Smau or a Beast Assassin who can come in and swoop in a position and we still have that completely filled in. And above all else, for the format regards, I guess I'd also like to ask your honor, are we taking into account that this is just solely a tournament for the best competition? Or are we taking into account the entire event, which is focused on charity in and of itself. Because remember, this is also primarily the fundraiser for the urban arts.
I think you got to define that end. I think it's your job to define what the goal is and what the best format is to meet that goal.
I guess if we're looking for terms of of time, I think the LTA is the most efficient, because that way you get to see, even though maybe not necessarily as many runners, you get to have 3 days of up to 8 hours, which is 24 hours altogether. In a 1v1 match, you get one match and then you're done. But maybe sometimes you got to spread it all out across, maybe unless you're doing multiple matches back to back or concurrently with one another, you've got much more spread out Mario, which may not also be the most beneficial for the ultimate goal of allowing these events to keep existing in the first place. And that's helping get money donated to the charity. So I think LTAs are just efficient.
Zeus?
Well, see, I want to tackle two things here. One, you said that's like the case of Liam or Luigi, where they decide that they just don't want to play or whatever. You know, you were talking about that purely in the realm of qualifying for the finals, where this debate is just about the finals. This debate is just about the format of PACE Grand Finals. So the way that I see it is, yes, we can, keep the LTA format for qualifiers just to allow the top runners in that field to solidify themselves and get their positions. And then the finals will be what the finals are, whether, it's the LTA format, whether it's the 1v1 format. So I think the point of somebody getting burnt out is kind of irrelevant, because if it's at the finals that this happens, then if somebody decides I just don't want to play, then there's still going to be an empty spot on the stage regardless. They're not just going to bring up, Joey Dickhead from the audience and say, hey, go play Mario. But so that was kind of the first thing. I think for qualifiers, it's totally fair if somebody gets burnt out and they don't want to qualify. But at the finals, if they just decide, I don't want to play, then there's going to be an empty spot regardless. So that was kind of the first thing that I was thinking about. Secondly, I don't think a 1v1 would take away the ability to get donations going, because I think arguably a 1v1 still allows for the flexibility to do things like, hey, for every dollar donated, I'm going to eat a chicken nugget, or hey, donate if you're on this person's side, or donate if you think this person's going to win, or something like that. I think there are still plenty of opportunities for us as organizers and us as commentators to bring in those donations and support the urban arts. I think you just have to do it in a different way. I don't think there's any less opportunities to get donations in.
Zias, I got one follow-up for you. How do you deal with the situation when you have a blowout race? Somebody makes a lot of mistakes in lobby, the other runner doesn't, and all of a sudden you have over an hour of race time where it's not a close race and the outcome is already known.
Well, you could say, either runner is as liable to make a mistake as the other one, right? So someone can have a bad lobby or, maybe a less than ideal lobby, but that doesn't mean the other person is just going to play perfectly all the way throughout. They can make a mistake in basement. They can make a mistake in upstairs and tippy. They can miss carpet list later in the race. Even if somebody has a bad beginning, that doesn't mean it's necessarily over. But yeah, sure, it's going to be a little bit of a battle, an uphill battle to come back. And, you're going to have to be on your game. But I think that adds pressure to the other person to play well, because they know they're ahead. They know they have to maintain it. But then that also puts pressure on the other person to say, hey, I'm now playing from behind. I'm playing up to my competition. So I need to really lock in and focus up. So I think it still breeds what we're looking for in terms of hype, And again, those periods of dead air are going to happen, even in the LTA. When it's just a bunch of runners in lobby, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to commentate fucking Blom's Fortress? No, you're going to be riffing off of your commentator. You're just going to be having fun in the booth. And it's the job of the commentators to fill those periods of kind of lull, before really things start to amp up.
We gotta move on to the next topic. I think that for the purpose of fostering a more exciting environment where upsets can happen and there's the unexpected is the norm. I got to side with Zeus on this one. I think a race type format could be a great way to inject some change, some excitement. One point that wasn't brought up that I think would have been interesting on the LTA side is consistency across prior tournaments allows for easier comparison. So we can say, yeah, Cheese is great. Cheese has gotten 2 titles and it was the same format. That's sick because we know that his, how he performed back then and in the prior LTAs and the prior paces, that translates and we can kind of compare. You can basically count rings, whereas it gets more difficult with the changing format. But I'm going to side with Zeus on that one. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Next topic, proposition for you simply is all the way back. Zeus, what do you say? What say you?
Simply is so fucking back, man. Simply is all the way fucking back. He's back in his prime. He's back in his prime. He's playing the best Mario I think he's ever played. I think he's never played better Mario than what he is right now. And honestly, I don't really think he has to prove much to say that he's back. I think it's just you can feel it. You can feel it. Wesley?
I unfortunately have to disagree with you, Zeus. As much as I do enjoy Simply, he did come back, but I do believe he is kind of stagnating and maybe perhaps has not come back at all. He did get on that run that was a 1:36.22, best possible time in 2 bits, which would have been second place at the time. But I'm starting to think now that that run could have possibly traumatized our poor boy Simply. Because since then, taking a look over his stream statistics, since that personal best occurred on September 25th, this man has dedicated dozens upon dozens of hours to Tetris, you pop into his stream every now and then, you see 120 star for 136, and next thing you know, he's playing Tetris. He says he's going to play 1 game of Tetris, but that one game then turns into 3, maybe even 5 games.
It's
of Tetris.
1 game. He only plays one game.
Just 1 game.
And the worst part of it is, you think somebody who's really back is going to be playing Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Entertainment
I've
System?
never seen this.
This is a live feed, boys. This is currently live on Twitch.tv. This man is playing the wrong Mario. Can you really say he's back when he's not even playing the correct Mario? What say you, Zeus?
Well, first of all, Mario is Mario, and I think if you're speedrunning, you're still keeping your mindset. You're still keeping the same competitive juices flowing.
But where's the 3 dimensions? He's stuck in a 2-dimensional mindset.
Sometimes you got to learn your history, all right? You got to know where you came from.
You got to respect your elders.
Yeah.
All right?
He's a 2-dimensional creature lost in a 3-dimensional aquatic world, longing for a purpose.
Look, he has boom dependency, okay? He is dependent on the booms. I don't think we can really make fun of somebody for having a dependency. I think that's kind of fucked up.
True.
So, Tetris, SM64, SMB1. He's only playing SMB1 to compete with Liam, by the way. So, could we blame Liam for this? Is this Liam's fault for dragging Simply away? Is this Liam's plot to get Simply away and make him not back? So that Liam can just swoop in and steal Simply's spotlight?
I mean, you do what you got to do for the content, and I would never make fun of this man's dependency because I was there in the thick of it when I heard this man going through the greatest struggle of all.
I love trees. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm addicted. I need another hit.
Tree dependency is no joke here. I completely understand why you need to take a step away because the trees can just get to you so mentally.
Wes, you said you referenced his most recent PB, and he was on the brink of a low. I'll say low. 136.
Low mid.
I'll say low. I'll get the mid out of there.
A mid-low.
Low. Nothing mid about that run, okay? Here's the thing. Sounds like he was almost back with that run. Would you say he's like 50% back? 20% back?
I guess we're trying to define as what quantifies as back. If we're looking at back as what his peak was, and that's being the world record holder, I would say he is probably... Unfortunately, with the new development coming from Green Suigi, probably around 50% back. I wouldn't say he's 135 capable, but we have seen him get the occasional low 102 in the run, but he's not there yet. He's not there. He's still amongst his place with the top dogs. But if being back means being the top dog, he's not top dog.
Zeus, is he 100% back?
I just think getting on that run, even if he wasn't able to close it out, I just think getting on that run just shows that his hard work paid off. And if you watched the Pace Pal short video, History Waits, on Simply, you would know that this man was not back at one point. But now he's come in, he's qualified for Pace, he's gotten himself back up to where he wants to be, he's accomplished, I'm sure, goals that he set out to accomplish. I would say you're back in that sense. I would say you are fully back if you can come back and say, I have accomplished what I set out to do. I have made the improvements that I wanted to make. And I feel like even if I take a step away, even if for a little bit I don't play as much Mario, I still feel confident in my gameplay that I can go out there and perform. I'd say you're back. I don't think it's like a percentage thing. I think it's a yes or a no. And I'm going to say simply is yes, he is back.
All right. We got to move on. My ruling, I disagree with Zeus that it's binary. I disagree with Wes that he's 50% back. He's 93% back. And that 7% is just contingent on him coming on the pod. That's how you get to be 100% back. Simply come on the fucking pod. The whole thing was a marketing piece. All right, next topic. Proposition.
So no points awarded?
Oh, half a point each.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
We got 1.5. Going into topic 4. An off-podium finish for Kally is a major step back. Zeus, you kicked it off last time. We're over to you, Counselor Wesley. What say you?
Considering Kally has finished on the podium for the last few paces, this would seem like it's a step back. Now, the real question is going to be, what is this podium going to look like? Now, of course, with the development of carpetless and 137 now looking like a realistic possibility with all paces going forward, Kally getting on the podium just even last year with a 138.32, if I'm not mistaken, could look completely different here. Is a 137 going to be required to get onto the podium? If so, is he capable of doing such a thing? Regardless, Kally has put in the most amount of time, the most amount of practice, once again, compared to all 7 of our finalists, at least live, of course. We can only document this live, but the fact that he's not afraid to put himself out there in the world and show us his practice day in and day out, hour after hour, it just goes to show that the podium is truly gangster's paradise for Kally, and anything outside of that would not be paradise.
Zeus?
Well, Wesley Doggerson, first of all...
Yeah, you're about to get a zinger.
Kally, that was his first podium last year, last summer.
Yeah.
That was Kally's first podium.
Was he in 4th place the one before that?
Yeah, 4th place the one before, and 4th place the one before that.
Dang it.
So Kally has not had multiple
I forget
podiums.
I award 4th place people. I'm not the typical standard. I actually give prize money to 4th place finishers.
This is an insane argument. The podium has 4
podium.
spots. No, we're not going to hear that in this courtroom. Get that. Throw that out. That's an insane thing to say.
Scratch it from the record.
Wes is over here saying, my podium has 7 spots on it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Everybody's a winner.
Participation trophies.
So Kally has not had multiple podiums. Kally's first podium and only podium was last summer. So I don't think the expectation is there. I don't think if he is off of the podium, it's going to be a step back at all, because he hasn't really been in that podium territory for that long. And truthfully, is it always Kally's fault that he's not on the podium? Because somebody else, he can be in 2nd place, and then 2 other people out of nowhere can bop his time and put him in 4th. Is that Kally's fault? No, he showed up. He was on the podium at a certain point. There's only so much you can do considering the field of opposition that you're dealing with. You can only do so much when it comes to your ops, you know? So I don't think it would be a step back for Kally. I think, like you said, he's been on the grind. He's publicly been on the grind, and we've talked a lot about Kally and the ways that he's innovated in this game and the things that he's done and how many things people have adopted from the way that Kally plays the game, that I don't think it would at all be a major step back if he gets 4th or 5th or even 7th. I think he's still Kally. It's just didn't really go his way this time.
Well, let's take a look at the competition we've got here for this go around. We got Green Suigi, Simply Smau, Puncay, Beast, and Cheese competing against Kally. We don't have a Liam who could come in and bop him out of nowhere. Kally's PB is now only 6 seconds away from Punctation. If I've got this correct, I will check my sources, but I believe Kally's personal best is a 1:37.32, whereas Puncay's
sources earlier.
And Puncay's is a 1:37.26. But regardless, he is on 32, 6 seconds away from Puncay. And he's got the live experience now, nowhere near as much as Puncay, but probably the one legitimate threat there. Then there's Green, Suigi, and Cheese, which frankly, Cheese can be Cheese all he wants. He's been distracted during his subathon there. He has not been putting in as much time to SM64 like he did for the last pace, where he did streams, where he made it a goal to do a no reset 121 virtually every single day leading up to pace. And during the subathon, it has been activities bouncing around all over the place. Kally has no choice but to really make the podium. This seems wide open for him to get to the podium. If he doesn't get to the podium, it is a huge step back for this man.
Wes, I got 2 questions for you. Has Suigi ever competed in a pace final before?
That is a loaded question. Are we talking about a pace life final?
120,
yes.
120
the
star.
16 star.
120 star, obviously. 120 star.
Hey, that's not how the question was phrased, Your Honor. You said a pace live final.
We're debating 120 tournament. Of course, the 16.
Well, then you got to specify the questions. The law matters linguistically. You should know, Your Honor, with all due respect.
Great news. I'm going to say it's 3 questions now. The first question we're going to throw away. Second question. Has Suigi ever competed against Kally in a 120 star LTA final before?
In a 120 final, no, he is not.
Okay. Next question. I guess Smau has competed against him, so I'm going to withdraw the third question. But I am going to say Smau has gotten 2 137s in the qualifiers. Suigi's now competing in these. Cheese has 2 wins in this tournament. Puncay has 2 wins in this tournament. I just named 4 people right there who have gotten better times in these qualifiers or better placements than Kally did in his podium performance last time. If I'm not wrong, 4 people potentially finishing ahead of him puts him off the podium, right? I mean, the competition is stiffer this time in a way that it's never been before. That has to factor into the expectations for Kally, right?
Well, Your Honor, are you actually throwing Kally under the bus here? Are you withdrawing your Kally support that you've kept near and dear to this show?
No. Well, I haven't even come out with a judgment here. I'm asking questions. I'm testing your case.
Mm-hmm. Well, Smau, has only been to the pace finals 1 time when his PB was only at a 139. He hasn't had the live experience that Kally has built up over these last couple of years. Green Suigi, while he has competed live, has not competed live in 120. He has the 135, but he never had a 136. Do we even know if he's consistently capable of getting a 137? We don't know what his 120 capability is. And when you don't know, you kind of err on the caution of, I don't think this is really going to happen. Puncay and Cheese haven't also been taking the game all too seriously. Honestly, by this logic, maybe Kally might even end up in first place.
Wes just talked himself into a Kally gold. We do need to move on because we still have 2 more topics. My ruling on that, with a lot of deliberation, I went back and forth. While I was listening to you two, I was on either side of this, and I was ready to rule on either side. I think that an off-podium finish for Kally is a major step back. I'm with Wes. I think in the world of competition, you have to always be driving yourself, and to get to that high of a level, you already have to set expectations high for yourself because you have to reach high to get high. I'm fine with that phrasing. And I think the reality is for Kally. I love getting high. I think the reality is for Kally, he's gotta keep finishing on the podium to be pushing his career in the direction he wants it to go. All right, next topic. We are what? One apiece, 1.5 apiece, 2.5 to 1.5 West leads. Similar question, but for Smau, it's podium or bust for Smau. Zeus?
Well, before I get into it, I would just like to point out, Your Honor, that Wesley eats his pizza with a fork and knife, so I think that should really call into judgment, should call into question his judgment here. Just would like to let the record show that. But
Damn, that's crazy.
Objection, hearsay.
Don't think it's hearsay, but I'm going to go with relevancy instead. I'm also going to say, bro, that means you're losing to a guy who eats his pizza with a fork and knife.
Defamation. Damn. I like to strike this entire debate and file a lawsuit to bring down CS for defamation. He has no proof.
Minor setback.
I have literally eaten a pizza on this show without a fork and a knife and cinnamon sprinkled on it.
Yeah, that's also
crazy. You are defaming me, sir.
I don't think that was the defense you thought it was. I just think you're incapable of eating pizza. So
I have concepts of proof. Okay. It's gonna come out eventually. Okay, trust me.
Fan fiction is not allowed in this courtroom. Moving on.
Podium or bust for Smau? I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yes. Smau has come out here and he's been very explosive. He managed to finish first in both of the last 2 rounds of qualifiers against his competition that he's going against currently. I mean, I know that Green Suigi wasn't exactly grinding the way that he was grinding, so you know, I think he might not take first at pace, but I think he can definitely get a podium. I think Smau just consistently plays at the level that he needs to play at, and I just think he has to do it. I think it's, again, storyline guys. He's got to wrap up this storyline, and I feel like if Smau doesn't manage to get a podium here, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a disappointment, but I think it's best for the storyline that Smau gets the podium here, and I think that it's like, if you don't get it, then you just got to run it back for summer and try again, because I think Smau is definitely due for a podium finish here.
Wes?
I think Zeus is looking for the top-selling storyline here. He's thinking like a true marketing genius. He wants what's going to bring in the most views, the most clicks, and the most attention, but I don't think it has to be podium or bust for Smau. The fact that he even got to the finals in the first place is already making some of us viewers bust with excitement, if you know what I mean. The fact that Smau was able to take a long break, fulfill his duty as a citizen of the great European country of Finland by serving in the military and being able to come back and just blow all of our expectations out of the water, getting the 137s and going into the qualifiers. He doesn't need to just get to the podium. Would we like to see it? Sure. We all love a good underdog story. But the fact that he's even here now, competing with the top dogs, this isn't a bust moment for Smau. He should bust with excitement.
Zeus, any comments on Smau busting? Wasn't sure if you wanted to hop in there.
Your Honor, I'm going to rest my case on that aspect, but I just think that you're right. I do want the more exciting storyline. I like to see it come to a conclusion's probably not the right word here in context. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it finalized. I'd like to see the storyline come to an end. I'd like to see it be wrapped up here, and I just think if you have the capability, you have the capability. I mean, shout out to Smau for his service for the great country of Finland. Shout out to that. But I just think if you have the capability, you gotta finish it up.
Zeus, why do you say he's got the capability? Why do you say he knows he has the capability?
I mean, just look at his finishes in the qualifiers, man. Just like, even if we factored in Green Suigi, and Green Suigi was playing like Green Suigi, and Suigi gets first, let's say, Smau's still gonna get second. Smau's still gonna get third. He's still gonna be on the podium with all of his competition actively playing at the same time. He has the live experience. I mean, he participated in summer 2023.
Yeah.
So I just think he just has to finish the job. Do your job. Do your job, Smau. You just got to get that podium. Or I don't know. I don't know the right label to put on it, but I just feel like at this point the expectation's there. I feel like you got to get it. You got to do it. You got to finish it.
Wesley, I got questions for you. First, what was the winning time from last pace?
1:37.53 by Cheese.
And you were on that call, right?
I was on the call with Z-Beard.
And it was Was that a historic run for any reason?
It was the first live 137.
So 137 is a great time in these pace events.
Yes.
What were Smau's finishes, his tourney PBs in each of the 2 qualifiers he participated in? Do you know?
Better than 137.53.
They were. At least one was.
As we've discussed on this show multiple times, Your Honor, there is a difference between playing in the comforts of your home and playing in a venue far away on the other side of the world with a live audience sitting right behind your back. A completely different environment. It completely messes with your mental factors.
And I think, I guess to your point there, I want to support you. I want to corroborate this. One huge difference. Smau, known for maybe tossing a beer or 2 or 3 back before those runs. He can't do that in the US.
Lemon waters.
He can't do that in the US. He's only 20.
That is true.
He doesn't have his PEDs. No access. So how is that going to weigh in?
Enhancing drinks, by the way.
So what I'm hearing is we might need to hypothetically find a way.
Nope.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
We don't endorse this.
Nope. We do not endorse illegal activities.
Nope.
We should find a way to hypothetically give this man a non-alcoholic beverage to simulate the excitement.
Oh, okay. Sure.
A couple of ginger ales, maybe.
Oh, I love a good ginger ale. Spindrift? LaCroix? LaCroix?
Never had
you could do non-alcoholic Heineken.
Yeah, you could also do that. 0-0.
No?
They're out there, the NAs. All right, we got to move on to the final topic. On that one, it's podium or bust for Smau.
Let's go.
2.5.
Tying it up.
Yeah. All right, on this last one.
This court is out of order.
On this last one, we're going to do a little bit differently because the topic is a little different. I'm going to give you each, 1 minute, 2 minutes to present your case. What do you guys want?
I only need 1 minute.
Okay.
I only need 1 minute.
Oh, actually, no, it absolutely should be. Should it be like 57 seconds?
53.
53? Okay.
Depends on the language we're speaking.
English, make it 57.
Okay, 57, because to your point, we will be speaking English, not Japanese. You get 57 seconds to make your point. I'm going to cut you off when we get there. Intro skip. Wes, kick it off.
Wait, didn't I go first last time?
No, because you've been going first on the even ones.
Okay, wow, we are on the even ones. All right, I'm losing count. Is this part of the time?
No. 3, 2, 1, reset.
Intro skip. Why is this so heavily debated? It's not like this is a very controversial topic out there. We've seen multiple games do it. Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, Jack 1. Why is this such a big deal? It's only 53 to 57 seconds, people. Why would you want to consciously waste that much extra time in your life? When you do tens, if not hundreds of thousands of attempts, you are equating to days, months of lost opportunities to just jump into runs. I understand it may be a moment to take a break and rest, but you can also just get up, walk away, touch some grass, drink some water, go to the bathroom, maybe even surf the web for a little bit. You don't need that much time to just sit around and do nothing when you can just jump into runs and get the action going. There, just in case I needed to burn a second or two.
So what was nice about that is you actually finished in time to start playing in Japanese, and then that last little bit took you to the English version, so well done. That was really nice. Zeus, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, reset.
I really think it's not that big of a deal that people have to sit around and wait for a minute between runs. I think your cases, your examples, Super Mario Sunshine in particular, I am a Super Mario Sunshine speedrunner. That intro is 5 minutes. That intro is a 5-minute intro. You start your timer at 5 minutes. And I think that is grounds to skip that intro because that would be exhausting to wait for that every time. But for SM64 in particular, we all know that the N64 hardware is the king of speedrunning that game. And it's going to be a lot harder to implement intro skip than we think it is. As long as the N64 is the king of speedrunning the game, it's just going to make everything messy. Nothing's going to work properly. It's just not gonna work out the way I think we're going to, or that you think it's going to, and I don't think it's a big deal. Scroll your phone for 30 seconds.
All right, you got to play the game. You got to stop talking. You got to play the game.
Are we allowed to rebuttal or no?
Yeah, let's do a rebuttal. Should we do a 53-second rebuttal?
I don't need a 53-second rebuttal.
Go.
I think the hardware logic is completely farce. While you do bring up a good point that the Sunshine intro is longer, we don't know, like, why does 5 minutes necessarily qualify for needing to skip over 1 minute? I'm somebody who likes to be efficient with all of my time as much as possible. If I want to skip a minute, so be it. More importantly, you're saying N64 is the king hardware. Well, how come then people didn't use their GameCubes or their Wiis to then skip? Why? You're making it sound like it's an emulator versus console argument. Why are we bringing hardware into question? It doesn't matter what you use to skip the intro. Just skip the intro if you want to skip the intro.
I mean, hardware it's a completely, that's how you run the game. Like, hardware is totally relevant in this discussion, because how else are you going to speedrun the game? And if the N64 is the only real accepted method of speedrunning this game at a top level to skip the intro, then that's irrelevant to the discussion.
Console elitist talk right there. Completely disregard from somebody who was a former emulator speedrunner.
He forgot where it came from.
I'm not forgetting my roots here. I just know that now that I am a console speedrunner, and if I ever get to the top level, that it's going to be a factor. And, you know, there's just going to be a lot of moving parts here. And sure, if emulator becomes the accepted platform, then yeah, sure, we can have that discussion at that point. But, you know, going back to Sunshine, they still skip the intro on, like, the Wii. At least the Wii is the common method of speedrunning Sunshine. They just have a hacked file. But the hardware is definitely a relevant piece. It is definitely a relevant piece. If you play on EMU, go for it. You know, I don't know if your runs are going to get accepted, but go for it. But I think as long as the N64 is the king of the hardware in the N64 community, that intro skip probably not the most feasible thing to do. And it really is only between 53 and 57 seconds. And is it that big of a deal? Not really. Especially if you run longer categories. You're not going to be resetting as often. Well, at least you shouldn't be. Don't watch my gameplay. But you shouldn't be resetting as much in a longer category. So I think it's kind of a moot point in that sense. But hardware, definitely relevant. N64 is going to make it almost impossible to implement consistently across the board. And I think we just need to deal with the intro. It could be so much worse.
So to summarize that discussion you just brought up, if you're on emulator, go for it. We don't care. If you're on console, shame on you for wanting to even think about intro skip. How dare you?
Well, I think if you're on emulator, like, no one's stopping you, but your runs aren't going to be accepted on speedrun.com.
But why does it have to matter if it's accepted on speedrun.com or not? There's plenty of people who speedrun the game that don't submit it to speedrun.com. They just want to play the game to play the game.
If you're not submitting your times to speedrun.com, I don't want to take like a Paracusia angle here and just be like, you shouldn't even play the game. Like, if you're not a top runner, you shouldn't even play the game. But, like, I don't know. I feel like speedrun.com is like part of the experience, you know? Submitting your times, and
the leaderboards are the history of the game. They've never made a mistake on those leaderboards. They are they lack any type of error. And they are a pristine record of where we've been, where we are, and projections of where we're going. With that, we do have to wrap up the intro skip debate.
There's no bias in this argument, by the way, about speedrun.com. No argument, no bias.
No sarcasm on my part. I got to go with Zeus purely because I am a traditionalist, a purist of the game.
What kind of place is this?
I'm sorry.
Let's go.
The arguments were good, but I wasn't going to be moving. I wasn't going to move from my position. He's gone.
And what? Wait, no, he just shut off his camera.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I didn't realize it was going to shut off the sound effect.
All right, that's it for our debate. We have debated all of the topics relevant to the community. We've gone on it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Was I right? Did I fuck up the judging? Did Wes win that one? Did Zeus win that one? Let us know below. If you're going to be at Pace, unfortunately, it's just going to be me. Or if you're there for the earlier days, Wes, you will be there, right?
For one day, yeah.
For one day. Go find Wes. Go say hi. Find me. Come say hi. Come hang out. Come on the pod if your name is Simply. Or any of the other
Just
finalists.
come!
Just come! And Smau, we'll be talking about you busting later. Don't worry.
Finland!
Thanks everyone for watching. We will catch you after Pace for the recap episode. Go simply.
Go simply.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go.
All right.
Man, Simply is so fucking back, and Wes freaking out in the group chat right now.
Yeah, if we can cut here, I see. If we can make a cut here.
Yeah.
Did I say no intro skip when regarding that topic? Because I'm absolutely the complete opposite.
You want intro skip?
Yes, I want intro skip. Fuck the intro. I hate wasting time.
Okay, wait. That's better because he disagrees with that. So this is.
I can't even pretend to make an argument for keeping the intro.
Gonna be. That would have been so funny if you guys were each just arguing the exact thing you didn't agree with. Also, I'm gonna.
We could do that too. We could do that too, but that would piss some people off.